Hey everyone, welcome back to Film Ranks. Today I want to talk about Toy Story 5 and some of my opinions on the film and if it's actually a good movie. So, to start, this film is about Bonnie and how she's trying to make new friends, how she's trying to connect with kids her age using this lily pad that's basically an iPad. You know, it's continuing that same generic story of kids moving on from their toys, except Bonnie is still very young and still plays with toys. But because she's around kids that are kind of snotty and just like very uptight, they look at playing as toys as something that's just childish, but they're still kids. So it's very ironic in that way, but you still see like themes of like cyberbullying and then, like how kids are growing up too fast and that sort of thing. So this movie is really about Bonnie and just trying to make friends. Like if you were to sum up this whole film, it's just Bonnie making friends and how the toys are trying to help her with that mission, including the lily pad, which is the antagonist of the film. And you see how things like evolve to the end of the film, but that's really how you would write a short summary of this film. It's really about Bonnie making new friends and how the toys are always being looked down upon because it's a childish thing or it's a thing that is not cool anymore. And like I said, it's nice seeing Woody and Buzz come back in this film. Especially Woody. I mean, Buzz always stayed with toys. Buzz has always been loyal since day one, whereas Woody, unfortunately, if you've seen the fourth film, spoiler alert, he leaves the toys for Bo Peep, and I think I'm just not a fan of Bo Peep's decision, and especially Woody's decision, because Woody has always been loyal to the toys. He's been with all his friends the longest. Buzz just kind of just stepped in at a later time. And who knows? I mean, I feel like by the end of this film, it's probably going to be a repeated history with Buzz and Jesse, but we don't see anything like that in this film. I just think if like your whole story from like the first three films was to keep the toys together, stay friends forever, and be close to each other, that's what you would do. But now they're treating it like, oh, like these toys are getting married, they're adults now, they're grown up, and it's like, you're toys. What are you talking about? Like you guys are acting like you can procreate and have your own children now, which is crazy. Like that's the only sort of logic that would work in films like Chucky or something like that. But no, this is a kid's movie about toys. So, that's why I don't agree with like the decisions that were made from the fourth film. I think it would have been better to have not have done like that ending for that film, but you can't undo what's already done, right? So I think it was a good idea bringing back Woody, but it wasn't really done in a very respectful way. It was just like the running joke of the film, which I felt like it was wrong because he was like one of the most iconic characters of the film. And like with Buzz, he was just being more like a dismissed character. He really shined more towards the end of the film. And then there was like there was other Buzz toys that were also like in this film kind of randomly. Like it was really random. I think they could have done like a better job explaining why there was other Buzz Lightyears just running around, just getting into trouble in random places, because they still believe they're space rangers and not toys. So that was just, something that didn't make too much sense, but it kind of tied to like, the ending of the film where like all the toys need help escaping and that sort of stuff. It's just something where things felt like they were being stitched together without making too much sense. Like things were just convenient. It wasn't just like, oh, like we met up with these toys and we became friends and then they helped us out. It's like, no, like we just met by random chance and they conveniently wanted to help us out because Buzz lied to him, being, the most special Buzz Lightyear toy that they have to obey. Like, it's just way too convenient. You didn't really earn their loyalty, you just lied to them. So I just thought that was kind of funny, but it's a kid's movie. At some point you gotta like understand, like it's not supposed to make like every single bit of sense. But yeah, as far as like the story goes, I think this was a decent film. I think a part of us wanted to know Jessie's story a little bit more because she always talks about it in every single film that she's in. She always talks about Emily and how things didn't work out and that she's like tired of being the toy that's being tossed out. Sort of that idea was like Bo Peep, but Bo Peep is like the extreme where it's like, nah, like I'd rather not be a kid's toy anymore. Like I'm just gonna be on my own now. So, that's what it is. The ending of the film was nice. It was great. Usually these films end with a happy ending. And the animations were great for like, the kids' imagination with like playing with the toys and all that sort of stuff. Like that's cool. It just feels like they're really trying to make it very close to like adults and like marriage and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, it's getting weirder because it's becoming more like that, where it's like just supposed to be like, like a kid's movie about toys, and toys, like even if they were more sentient like that, it's not like they can procreate. And it's just weird, like I feel like they're just supposed to be friends, if anything, like more platonic in that sort of sense. And yeah, it's just strange the more I think about it, because it's literally why Woody left. He wanted to marry Bo Peep, I guess, and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, they're always going to be toys. And toys, as Woody says, are, meant to be played with for kids. Like their job is to make kids happy. So if they're not doing that, then are they really toys now? So it's just like that sort of thing where it's like, yes, they are, but they're just doing something that's completely different from what we're used to seeing in Toy Story. And if there's anything that, doesn't resonate with people, is doing unpredictable things. If we're used to seeing Woody and Buzz in all these Toy Story films and all of a sudden they disappear or act completely different to what's normal, then yeah, I think it's safe to say a lot of people aren't gonna like that. So that's all I got for this film. I think it's a 7 out of 10. I don't think this was the best Toy Story film. And hopefully, they kind of just stop it here, because I think this is where it's already like have reached the end of its trail. I don't think the life story of the other toys are going to be much better than this. I think Jessie was a character who did deserve a film about her life story and all that stuff. And even though it wasn't perfect, like I enjoyed the film. I found parts to be very funny, pretty enjoyable. But I'm just like nitpicking some things that like could have been better. And obviously it was still entertaining to watch. So that's all I got for this. And thanks again for watching.